welcome to this first episode of video reviews of audio equipment. Today I'm going to review two of my favorite components in my system, the McIntosh C220 pre-amplifier and the McIntosh MC252 power amps. It took me a number of years to get to the sound that I really wanted, and these components really delivered it for me. I know it's going to sound like a McIntosh commercial, but I'm in no way associated with the company. I just love the sound that I can get out of these two components. So let's go and look at them in some detail. Well, here we are. As you can see, it's a beautiful amplifier with the classic McIntosh black glass and these new aluminum trims. Very classy, very elegant. I love the layout. It's simple, and yet I have all the functions that I need in a very nice, easy to use manner. I love in particular these very nice big controls. So let's start with the volume. The volume control is amazing. It's incredibly smooth and very responsive. So I just love using it. It's very well done. It has a beautiful feel to it. In terms of inputs, the inputs are configurable. So if you have three devices, say a CD player, a turntable and a tuner, you don't have to scroll through 15 different devices, and it's also very easy to program. So if I want to switch to the tuner, it's pretty easy going. I happen to have 5 devices attached to it. Now let's move to another feature that to me is very important, and that is tone controls. I know that some purists do not like tone control. Frankly, I have some recordings that I would have a very hard time listening to if I wasn't able to adjust the treble a little bit, or sometimes you want to put a little bit more bass. When you listen to Led Zeppelin and you have the great John Bonham drum sound, I like to feel it. May not be great fidelity, but I just like the feeling of it. So tone controls for me are a great thing, especially if they're implemented with a tone bypass. So here I go, I click on the tone bypass, and now the tone control circuitry is completely out of the loop. So no harm, no foul. If you want tone control, you have it. If you don't, they're out of your way. Another nice feature is mono. I have some mono recordings, and sometimes I like to listen to some recordings, stereo recordings in mono, because maybe the separation is bad, or some records just sound good in mono. So there you have it. There is a recording monitor which I haven't used yet. Setup is very nice. There are some other features, for example, that I find very important. For example, let's look at the balance. Let me get to it. So here we're going through all the various features that you can do through the setup. And I'm lucky right now, my system balance is pretty good, but I have had occasions, for example, when I had some phono cartridges that were not perfectly balanced left and right. You just nudge a couple of dB one way or the other. So the setup is very useful. It has a mute, which can come in very handy. No big deal. But what this one has is a particularly interesting feature, and that is if you keep it pressed, it goes into a mode called headphone mute. So I can still listen to and operate all the controls, but the sound only comes through the headphone. And this is a good time to mention it has a fantastic headphone amplifier. In fact, when I was shopping for preamps, this had a lot of the features that I like, but I like listening to headphones, and this has a great one, especially with the warmth of tube. It just sounds fantastic. And I use a Sennheiser HD 580 in combination with this. So these are just the basic feature, and a little later we're going to talk about the sound. But let's move to the MC252 power amp. Well, there's not much to say about the amplifier, except it looks beautiful. It weighs almost 100 pounds, and I nearly broke my back taking it out of the box and installing it. But once in place, at least it's not going to go anywhere. The controls are very easy. Of course, you can turn it off from here. But one of the very nice features is that the same remote that I use for the for the preamp turns off the entire equipment. So here I can turn off the whole thing with one remote. With the remote control. It has a little 1/8-inch jack to connect all the equipment, so I can turn all of my equipment at once. Of course, it wouldn't be a McIntosh amplifier if it didn't have beautiful blue meters, and as you can see, let's let's play the music so we can see them move a little bit. This amp goes to 250 watts, of course. It's solid state. It has some balanced input. And one of the nice things about the meter, of course, you can turn them off, but I don't know why you would want to do that. I like the light behind the meter. And it has two modes. One where it just shows you the very fast response, and one where you can hold the maximum power. And you'd ask, why would you ever want to put it on hold mode? Well, I use it sometimes to make sure that the signal is nicely balanced. Again, it's a nice to have. It's not essential, but it's a beautiful amp and it's a beast. 250 watts, believe it or not, is the baby amp of the McIntosh solid state power amp family. I think they go to 2000 watts, but for me and for my small room is plenty of power. So now we come to the sound, because that's what it's all about. How does the system sound? Well, I've always been a fan of the combination of a tube preamplifier with a solid state power amplifier. Tube give me that kind of warm, luscious sound in the preamp, but in the power amp I don't have to worry about tube life or wear and tear or causing too much heat in the summer. So that combination for me has worked particularly well. When I put together a C220 with an MC252, I get the full McIntosh sound from preamp to power amp, and that's a sound that I've come to love and appreciate, and frankly I don't see myself going anywhere else. What do I like about the McIntosh sound? Well, it's a perfect combination and balance of detail and musicality. In the past I've had some equipment, which I shall not name, that was super resolving, very impressive, very fast, but also very fatiguing. I was impressed when I listened for 5-10 minutes, but after 15 minutes I felt like giving my ears a rest. The McIntosh doesn't have the speed and detail of some of those other equipments, but what makes up for it is a tremendous musicality, just easy to listen to. It just envelops you in a warm sound, and you can listen for hours, and I do listen for hours. In fact, for me, the number one criteria in evaluating stereo equipment is how much do I listen. I've had better, quote-unquote, equipment in the past, but I found myself listening not nearly as much. So for me, the key thing is a nice, warm sound, bulletproof construction, tremendous resale value, all the features that I want in a preamp, and then some, and definitely some of the features that I don't want to give up, like tone controls with full defeat and balance that is missing in some of these high-end preamps, but just a great sound. So, in closing, upon reviewing what I said about this combination, it really sounded like an advertisement for McIntosh. Clearly, I don't have any association or financial ties with McIntosh. I just love their products. For me, it was the end of a search that lasted several years, buying more and more equipment, and until I found the sound I liked. And I think the biggest testament that I like the McIntosh sound is that I bought this combination of preamp and power amp over a year ago, and I felt absolutely no need to change to something else or upgrade. And to me, that's one of the key things, combined with the fact that I listen to music much more than I have before. When I come home from work, I just can't wait to sit down and listen to some cool records for a couple of hours, and on the weekend I like to start my day with some music. So I hope you enjoyed this review. As you can tell, I'm not a professional, it's a low budget thing, I did it all myself. Not exactly smooth, but I hope you enjoyed it, and if you do, I may do a few more of this. Thanks again for listening, and happy listening with your own system. This is Alberto saying goodbye.